And we have a special tech version of the Rag Chew crew tonight. We're going to welcome Bob Heil, no stranger to these parts. He's on a bunch. Last time he was on, we had a great discussion on microphones and audio, and tonight we're going to kind of continue that with K9EID, I believe, up at his home QTH in the great state of Missouri. Bob, are you with us tonight? Come on in and say hello.
Hello, everybody. This is K9EID. Wait a minute. Yeah, there we go. Get everything connected here. And hope you're hearing me okay, and very, very nice to be here, Pete. Go ahead.
Yeah, before we start, Bob, tell everybody what you're running for audio. We hear everybody else talking about their audio setups, but I don't think I've ever heard you say what you were on. So what are you running, then? Why? You sound great tonight.
This is a stock stock ICOM 7851 stock, okay?
Okay.
No big changes or any of that. And the microphone is PR22, and we'll get into some of this in a little bit, but nothing special. There are no black boxes. If you have the microphone right and maybe a little bit of equalization, you don't need a lot with this microphone, this is what you get.
Well, Bob, thanks for coming on with us tonight. We've thoroughly enjoyed, whenever we get a chance to just pick your brain on audio and ham radio. And tonight, I know you've got a couple of things you want to talk to us about regarding maybe the progress and the new inventions that have come out of Heil sound that are going to help people hear better. So, with the floor being yours, tell us what's going on and what you're thinking about audio-wise these days.
Well, the whole situation evolves around the fact that no one has ever talked to us about receive audio. Everybody's hot to trot with transmit audio, but you never see anything or hear anything on the market to help us. And that's kind of sad, because a lot of us, if we have too many birthdays, we end up with some hearing losses. But I'll get into. I want to go back into some science and some history about all of this. So, you got anything else to do? You want to check anybody in, or are we ready to go for 20 minutes or whatever?
Yeah. Well. Great time just to welcome you again, Bob, and mention that what we're going to do is give Bob the floor for like 20 minutes or so, and then, as we usually do, we're going to try to carve out some time at the end of our conversation to do some Q&A. So, yeah, Bob, take it away and take us down this path of better audio, especially for those of us that have lost, high frequency hearing, and that's got to be a high percentage of a lot of people that are in ham radio.
Well, the whole thing, this is K9EID, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks a lot, Pete. I always enjoy speaking to my ham radio buddies. I do a lot of club meetings. I do usually 4 or 5 a month, and I do them over Skype, and it really works great because clubs need programming, so I do a lot of them, and I'm really, really glad to be able to share some of the science, because we don't have enough of that. So we need to get to the basics as to what are we doing here? And I get really disenchanted in that the tests that we have to take, the things we have to learn, it doesn't cover a lot of that. And you're just kind of out there on your own. So we try to help everybody, because there's a lot to learn, and we bring it to you from my mentors. I was very fortunate that back 72, Paul Klipsch came to me. Paul Klipsch was a wonderful, wonderful man, brilliant. He invented the folded horn for home use, the big K horn, and he actually was one of the lead companies in the hi-fi movement. He loved efficiency, and he came to me to see my 20,000 watt PA. He'd never heard of such a thing. But anyway, he taught me a lot of stuff. And what he did is he guided me back into the studies of Bell Laboratories. And boy, I'll tell you, that's where it's at. And what you want to do is, and this is all over, go into Google tonight and look at the studies from Dr. Fletcher and Dr. Munson. You just put Bell Labs audio, and you'll see it. And if not, you can also go into Fletcher Munson, Dr. Fletcher and Dr. Munson, because when the telephone started back in the 20s, when they ran the first cables, they had a big problem because they couldn't hear each other. It was very muffled and so on. In fact, I'll try to show you a little bit about what I'm talking about. This is kind of, I can even do it better. Hang on. There we go. This is kind of what they heard. It wasn't articulate. It was hard to understand the words, and they couldn't understand what was happening. Why is it like that? So Dr. Fletcher and Dr. Munson came aboard, and they found out that what the problem had been is that they did not have the right equalization. They weren't talking equalization. And instead of having a signal that sounded like this, this is what a lot of signals sound like too today. They needed articulation. And so what they did is they came in and added a little bit of increase in the treble, roll off some of that bass. Low end, especially on communications, does not help any kind of articulation. This is a really good test right here for you. I'm leaving the low end, which is set at 80 hertz, and it's about plus one or so. But listen to what happens when I take the treble away. The bass seems to come up. Well, no, I didn't touch the bass. Likewise, if I have the low end wide open, it affects the treble. The balance is so important. And I'll get it balanced up the way I think it should sound. There we go. And that's one of the big things I find today is that guys don't have balance, and that's what Bell Lab studies discovered. Let me go back over here. They discovered that we needed more articulation between 2,000 and 3,000 cycles. That's where all of the important speech patterns are. The difference of an F and an S and a P and a B, those are all discovered in that 2,000 to 3,000 region. Bass does not help any of that, because if you have your mid-range up where it should be, like you're hearing it now, if you run the bass up, it really muddies it up, and the articulation is gone. Oh, isn't it cool to have all that big-time bass? Yeah, it's cool, but nobody can hear what the heck you're saying. Now I'll take that back out. Notice the articulation value. That word articulation, I would probably say it 100 times tonight. It's so important. And that whole thing of the Fletcher-Munson movement was something special. They also discovered, this was important, that our hearing changes with level. It's why kids today like to have their music so darn loud, because up at about around 100 dB, we hear pretty flat. We hear all the low end, the high end, mid-range. When you get down to where we listen to our radios, down around the 40 or 50 dB level, or that's room level, you have a huge hole in your hearing, and you have to readjust that. And the Fletcher-Munson curve will tell you that, and you really set up. It really plays a big part. Well, I was off the air. I got licensed in 1956 when AM was king. Sideband was just coming on, and I fell in love with AM and what we could do with some of the different audio things and so on back in those days. However, when I got into the sideband thing, that was a whole different ball game. And I enjoyed ham radio. Oh boy, I really had a thing going on. But then I went off the air about 66, 67. I got involved in doing a lot of things for the entertainment industry, building sound systems for them. My first band was the James Gang with Joe Walsh, who is one of my best friends. We do a lot of things today, and I wasn't on the air. I come back on in 76. I couldn't believe what I heard, because when I came back in 76, started listening, this is what I heard. I'm going, what happened to that particular Art Collins audio? What is this thing? I'm running my Kenwood, or I'm running my Yates. What? I never even heard of those names. How come you're so basic? How come you're muffled? How about my matching microphone? The only thing matching about that was the painted the same color. And it really got my ear, because I'm going, wait a minute. And so I built a little box that was called the EQ200. It got the cover award back in 1982 for QST. I did the article to have everybody build it. However, it ended up that I had a lot of guys and gals calling me, hey, would you build it for me? So we put the plant back together, hired some people, and got into the amateur radio business all over that equalizer. Because nobody had seen an equalizer. Nobody. You had a 520, a 101, a Drake, a Collins. Nobody had any kind of equalization. Well, equalization was gold in my world of audio. We couldn't do a show. We couldn't do a recording. So what's wrong here? So we built it, and eventually it really got rocking in 1999. Dr. Inouye, who owns ICOM, sent me a letter, and he had a picture of his station, and it was his 781, IC 781. That was the first one with a television screen on it. And my gold line, the EQ200. I couldn't believe it. It's like, wow. So we started talking, and he said, I have a new idea for a new line. I am going to call it the Pro line. And the Pro was the first that had equalization in it. Pro 1, 2, 3, all the way through to the 7610, the 7300. They all had that two-band EQ200 in it that we did back in 82. Dr. Hasegawa came in from Yaesu. A year later, he wanted to do it better. So I did a parametric for them. And it was just a wonderful thing to be able to work with these guys. Now all the ICOMs, all the Yaesus, every one of their rigs have the equalizer. Well, that was important to me, and I was really, really thrilled that they took to all of this, because it really had to be done. We had no equalization, and now we do. And I went into microphones, and we'll get into that a little bit maybe, but while I'm here with this, maybe let me let you hear one thing that I've done. Let me switch this. This is the PR22. It's a microphone I built for Paul Rogers of Band Company. He came to me a few years back, and he said, I want a microphone that we don't have to equalize. We just want to plug it in, and it sounds great. He says, I get all these different sound guys. They all think they know the thing, and they don't know anything, and they start making me sound weird. So this is what he uses. You plug it in, boom, and it works great. Now, let me switch over. This is the new PR77. Here we go. Hang on. Okay, this is the PR77. Now, let me get my EQ back to flat here. Where are we at? Yeah, that's good. And the situation here was that we had a lot of guys wanting this microphone. It's a copy of the RCA 77D you used to see on Johnny Carson's desk, and a lot of hosts had, they were just props, but that's what it is, and it's really a great microphone. I'm very proud of it. But in it, I have two positions. If you're going to use it for music, we have a lot of broadcasters now using this. If I want to use it for communication, I have a switch, and I'm going to switch it now. There it is with all the low end dropped out of it. No, it's not pretty sounding maybe, but it's much easier to understand the words, especially if you're in noisy conditions. And that's all done with an equalizer switch on the back of the microphone. It's either voice or it's music. And although music sounds great, it's wideband. There's no restrictions here. So all of this equalization, why have they not done anything with receive? And working with these companies over the years, I can't get them to listen. Our receiver is fine. And they keep thinking about sensitivity, selective. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about simple equalization for receive. Every transceiver, $15,000 to $400. Every single one of them has a 1 watt, maybe 2, with 10% distortion and a damn little junky 3-inch speaker. Then they put it in a box, painted the same color, put their name on it, and it's matching. It's just insane. It drives me nuts. I can't stand distortion. And so after I really beat them up for a couple of years. They just wouldn't do it. So I said, okay, I am. So over a couple of years ago, I started working on this project, and I'm really happy with it because, man, does it work. But there's a little sidebar to it. There's a lot of guys that are having hearing problems in that mid-range. And so they have a tough time hearing. So now they have a full complement of equalization for receive, and they can dial it up because it has a parametric mid, and they can dial anything from 400 to 4,000 cycles. They're going to maybe be only between 2,000 and 3,000, as I told you. That's where the real articulate syllables are that we need, that the human hearing system needs. But you can dial up anything you want. I hope this will work okay. I'm going to try this and see if you can hear it all right. Tape. I made this a few weeks back, and it was done off the receiver, and the receiver was flat. So we had absolutely no EQ, and what you're going to hear is this recording. And let me get the mic over here. Okay, here we go. First one's going to be flat. No EQ. Now I'm going to put some mid-range.
India is Bravo, Lima Bravo, VI, India going to
put it back to flat. The way you hear it.
Very good day to you from Ireland. Name is Liam in India, Alpha Mike, over.
The next one is an MC50. Bassy, mushy microphone, no matter what. Oh, it's matching it. Listen what we can do to this guy.
Which was the worst, by the way, paid in the area.
Here it is flat.
5 years seniority. But I was basically starting at the bottom, so many times people who spend 20 years in the Navy or whatever the military is, and retire, people say, well, you got it made. No.
There he is, flat. The next guy's an HC4. It's all highs. Listen what we can do to this guy.
I had it done last Sunday the other night. I thought, well, I wonder if I can copy that.
There's the way he sounds.
Works a minute, so I speeded up the tape, and sure enough, I can copy it. No.
That come through okay, Pete?
Yeah, no, we're hearing it all.
Okay, well, it's one of those situations that we've never heard it before. Nobody's ever played with your receive audio. And a couple of the rigs have some receive EQ in it, and it's a joke. It doesn't work. The problem is, it has to be parametric. You have to be the engineer. You have to be able to tune that filter to where your ears need it. And that's the big problem. I'm going to run through these again, and I run through them straight, the way you would hear them in your receiver, and then further along in the little piece there, I will put some equalization to it. Here's this first guy from Europe.
Here
comes the EQ.
Echo India 8 Bravo, Lima Bravo, PI LB calling in by.
Here it is, back to flat.
Sierra, Germany. Hope I have it right. Very good day to you from Heil. Name is Lima India Alpha Mike, over.
Here comes that MC50 guy again.
They were nice enough in my county, which was the worst, by the way, paid in the area. They gave me 5 years seniority, but I was basically starting at the bottom, so many times people who spend
Here it is, back to flat.
years in the Navy or whatever the military is and retire, people say, well, you got it made. No, you don't.
Difficult to understand their words. Now, comes the guy with the HC4.
I had a gun lost something the other night. Well, I wonder if I can copy that at about 30 words a minute. So
It's
I
flat.
speeded up the tape, and sure enough, I can copy it.
And I really should have a hookup into the transmitter direct, but I'm just letting you hear this through the speaker, but it should give you some idea of what this thing will do. It has 2 headphone outputs, 2 separate amplifiers, so you can have a logger or an operator, but you also can take your headphones and put the left side in one and your right side in the other, and you can balance up that hearing should you have, and a lot of us don't have equal hearing in each ear. It also has a record out. You don't need a bunch of patch cords and all that. You just plug it up right to the front. The speaker I'm really proud of. I told you earlier, Paul Clips was a great teacher to me. He was something. He taught me how to tune a speaker to a cavity. We built tens of thousands of speakers in that 30 years that Heil Sound was building up for the rock industry. Well, this is a wonderful little desktop speaker. I found a case. I didn't have to spend $20,000 to tool it. But then the speaker, it's one of my own. It's a 5-inch speaker, and we took it outside in free air, found out what the cone resonance was. Then we treated the inside of the cabinet to tune that, and it's great. It's got a 3.5-inch tweeter, so it has wonderful articulations. The amplifier on the back of the speaker is 25 watts at 0.1%. We're talking hi-fi levels here. And it's a wonderful speaker, and this all comes together as a package. And you can go to our website and see a lot of details. It's right up front. Just check it out. But I'm really happy with it. It's taken a long time, and a lot of it was engineered right here at this desk. This is what I call a station lab, because I had to listen to a lot of signals, playing with a lot of resistors and capacitors and all that to make things happen the way I needed it. But we're very excited about that. But the main thing is to understand audio. We just don't have enough people doing that and teaching us why we need different frequencies. The one thing that really bugs me is people will say, oh, I got one of them EQs. Yeah, I got 31 bands. Really? Yeah. Bought it at the whatever, a pro store. Okay. What are you going to do with it? Oh, I'm going to make it sound good on my microphone. Okay. What are you going to do with 31 bands? Well, yeah. If you don't know where I'm going with this, ham radio is only 3 kc at the widest. unless you're going to be one of those dudes that take up 6K of bandwidth and fiddle around. The stock transmitters, none of them will go above 3K. There's a few that will, and I say no. We can't do that. We have to pay attention to our neighbors, because if you're 6K wide, you're not going to be liked very well. There's a couple of places on the band, and those guys can go play with it. I'm not saying that they can't. They shouldn't. Not in the normal band where we are here. Anyway, the only 3K. Well, if you got 31 bands of EQ, how many of them are you going to be able to use? About 4. The rest of them are useless. Forget it. Because you only can look at what's going to happen between about 200 and 3K. That's it. And that's why I put I call them the gates on the PRAS, Parametric Receive Audio System. The low end is set at 160 hertz. The top end is set at right about 6K. Now, you can adjust those plus or minus. You can notch them, or you can boost them at those frequencies. And that gives you what I call the gates on the outside. But what's inside is all the mid-range is variable. It's a parametric filter. You are the engineer. And you just dial it up. You like to dial on your radio going from 3916 to 3982. You just grab a hold of that mid-range knob and dial it into where you need it. It's the slickest thing ever. And I'm really proud of it because it's simple to operate, but oh man, does it work. But again, you just have to understand that we all are getting a little bit hard to hearing. I'm not saying you're deaf, but you lose a lot of that top end and that mid-range, so much of it. I was at Albuquerque about a month ago. They had a wonderful Hemfest there, and they invited me to come down, and they had an audiologist there. He brought in his whole lab, and he was making charts for all the guys and gals that wanted to get their ears tested. And a couple of them would bring their charts by where I was, and some of them were just gone. After 2K, they were down 10 dB. And they couldn't hear much. I said, we're really sad because it takes our radio away. I can't operate my radio because I can't understand it. So I'd plug a signal in, do what I did a minute ago, dial up that 2 to 3K. These guys, a couple of the guys, I have to be honest, started crying. They said, we're going to get our radio back. I can't believe this. So we've been off the air for years because I couldn't hear. I can hear this. So that's the plus for me. I also have a doctor that hit a good thing where he has a little handheld device that he records after you visit him. He'll take and record what he found wrong with you or right with you, and then he takes that recorder and hands it to his nurse, and she goes in to the secretary, and they transcribe it and type it down and put it in the computer. But they have a very difficult time understanding because it's junk. The microphone's junk and it's just awful. Not anymore. They plugged it into the PRAS and it solved their problem. So I don't know where this is going. I have one in the other room on my television. Oh my God. I don't care what the problem is with hearing. We can correct a lot of it in our radios with this parametric receive audio system. I'm really happy. So that's pretty much it. We could go into a lot of other details on things. I should maybe do the little I got a couple of mics I should let you hear, Pete, but let me bring it back to you and see if you got something else there. This is K9EID.
Yeah, Bob Heil's our guest, K9EID. This is KE5GGY, and we're going to open it up for some questions in just a moment. Quick question for you, Bob. Many of us are, experience hearing loss. We're starting to use hearing aids, and the question for you there is whether hearing aids would interface with something like this. You've been critical of Bluetooth in the past, and the second part of that hearing aid question is, will the words Bluetooth and hi-fi audio ever be used in the same sentence? Back to you.
No, never. Can't. Think about it. I mean, first of all, if you think about this, everything you have Bluetooth is not real pretty analog stuff. I call it bubbly. It's not beautiful and straight through analog. Nope, it's not. That's my gripe with it. And the challenge is to make things wireless, but do it with RF. I'm working on a product right now with RF phones, and this could be something very special. But what I've discovered is guys that have hearing aids have two things we help them with. One of them, they take the hearing aid out and then dial up what was lost in the parametric receive audio system, and they don't need them. The only reason they have it is that they dial up frequencies that they're losing. The hearing aid, take them out. You don't need it when you're listening to this, and it works great. The other thing is the Pro 7. Pro 7 headset is amazing. I designed it so they have big, deep cuffs, and these cuffs are just so important because your headphone or your earpiece will not feed back. You know, that's the problem with headphones. When you put them on, then you get this awful feedback. Well, you don't get that. So that's one of the other situations with it. The parametric definitely helps that.
Well, let's open it up for some questions. Bob Heil's with us, K9EID. This is KE5GGY. Anybody with a question?
W5DPH.
Oscar Lima Echo. Go ahead. You're on with Bob.
This is Oscar Lima Echo. My name is Dale, and just want to see if you copy.
I do. Go ahead, Dale.
Very good. Bob. I don't really have a question right now. I just wanted to I wanted to thank you for making an email to total music and I'm using all of your suggestions, and I have been able to. And ever since then, I've continuously been significant audio reports telling me how good the audio is. Of course, I've never heard it, but I just wanted to get it from a critical ear and see what you think.
Well, it's all the science, Dale. That's what I follow, and if I have the components, we can usually figure it out. So I'm glad it worked for you. Very, very happy. Who's the other one? Another station?
Yeah, W5DPH.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Bob, I heard you mention the ProSet 7, and those were excellent. That's an excellent headset. I actually had two of them, but both of them on transmit was picking up RF. Nothing else changed in my shack except that, and I was wondering if you guys had had a chance to work that out. I'm on a ProSet 6 now. Nothing's changed in the shack. And it works beautiful, but the ProSet 7 had a problem picking up RF. Have y'all got that worked out?
Don't have anything to work out. I've never been able to achieve any RF in this station, and whenever I find any RF, they've got something going on. They've got stray RF somewhere because you got a big long cord on it. That's the other thing, and it's a little more exotic than just a regular headset. But what kind of antenna do you have?
The antenna was I'm trying to remember which one I had at that time. That one was an in-fed wire that I was using, and I know that those are notorious for having a little RF in the shack. And so I was mindful of that, but prior to the ProSet 7, I had the ProSet 6, and it didn't pick up any, and the 7 did. So I just wonder if it's a different element, or it's more sensitive or something.
Well, you answered your own question. In-fed things, G5RVs are notorious for stray RF, and you might have something. Hey, it worked great. Well, you better hang on to it because those things they're just constantly giving trouble for stray RF. If you have one that works, God bless you. However, the reason is, as I told you, the Pro 7 has a much longer cable, and it has a higher impedance microphone compared to the 6. The 6 has a whole different element in it. but you should be able to fix that stray RF. Did you try some RF beads on it? That usually solves it.
Yeah, Roger. I tried everything. I tried coiling everything up. I even bought me a little what is it? The little RF signal meters. Trying to figure out where it was coming from. It wasn't biting me on the radio or anything like that. That wasn't affecting the computers or anything like that. It was just that particular microphone was picking it up. So I ended up just going back to the ProSet 6, and I think it sounds okay, but I do have a Oklahoma, Texas accent. QSL?
What kind of transmitter?
Right now I'm on a 7610.
But is that what you were having trouble with?
Well, I had a 7300 with the ProSet 7.
Yeah, one of the things about ICOM, and we hear a lot of RF with this, they do not ground their shield. Can you believe that? They do not ground their shield. And we've got it on our website. You can go check it out or send me an email and I'll do you a little drawing. It's real simple to do that right at the mic plug. And you can ground the shield. And I fixed probably 90% of RFI problems in ICOM by doing that. Also with Kenwood, they do not ground their shield. How stupid. But, drop me an email and we'll help you out.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the QSO, W5DPH.
Was it MDK? I don't know. What is that? I don't know much about the 2 meter gear, I have to tell you. So what is that? Is that one of the fusion things? What is it?
Yes, that's the gauge there with the dual band mobile. Right now I'm on the 7300 with your ICM mic.
Well, the Yaesu, usually they all use the same adapter, so you should be okay.
Okay, I use the modular plug on this mobile. I was wondering.
Yeah, that should work quite well. And I'd look at the HM12. That works really good. But that should be used the same pin out as the other. And one thing about your 7300, where do you have your equalizers set? Where's your treble? Very important. That's very important. You could use a little more treble and a little less low end.
A comment, Bob?
Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, I'm not hearing the station real well that was asking you the question, but to me, that's a textbook example of audio that got lost in the bass. It's like a car full of kids pulling up next to me with the bass speaker on, and I feel the rumble, but I can't copy a word.
So important to mid-range, right? Exactly. Try to get through everybody how important the treble in the mid-range is. And one of the problems you had there, sir, is you're doing it with somebody locally. You need to get out where you got a little noise, and actually you don't need to do it at all. Listen to yourself and another receiver. You'll know. But what Pete's saying is this is kind of what you sound like right now. And it's okay, but if you're down in the noise a little like Pete's got with you, you're kind of in trouble. And you need this. So important do you need that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have the bass at -2, the treble.
What did I just say to you? You have no treble. Put it up to +3 or 4, please. Welcome to our world. What'd you hear, Pete?
It's a little bit better, but still, I think part of it's conditions. But yeah, if he takes the 2.5 up, I'm going to hear him.
Yeah, have anybody else heard that big change? Just a minute, AY. Did anybody hear that change when he bring that treble up?
YCK did.
I heard about 4 of you. Thank you. It's all science, guys. It's all science. And I get so many guys that, well, the book says I'm supposed to put... Don't care about the book. I care about my ears. I care about the guys trying to listen to me. So I think we got you cooking there. Who is the AY, was it? Who is that?
Yeah, this is Jim K9EID. I work with Art Collins, and he's been my boss in that. And when I worked at Collins on one project, that's neither here nor there. I want to ask you on this mic and this video right now, what can I do what's the best mic that you have to go with this radio?
What is the radio?
Oh, you can tell by the sound. Okay, this is a 7300.
Okay. Well, you using the stock microphone?
Yes, sir.
I would look at what we call the ICM. Dr. Inouye, who owns ICOM, asked me some years ago to build a microphone for him. It won't work on Kenwood. It won't work on Yaesu. It works only on an ICOM, and it really worked. Well, you just heard that guy a minute ago. He's got an ICM, and it's great. And you roll the low off about -1, put that treble up about +3. It's wonderful, and it's not a very expensive microphone. It's a good-looking guy, and you don't have a cable or anything to buy. It's got a cable attached with the right plug. It's really a miracle for all ICOMs.
Okay, have you ever set up a 7300 with the hand mic and have you ever set one up all the way yourself?
Yeah, but here's the problem with hand mic. I should go get mine, but let me show you. I don't care what it is. When you put an element in a clamshell, this is what it sounds like. And your buddies are going, no, don't. Yes, it does. When you take the element out of the clamshell, listen what happens to the audio. Did you hear a difference?
Yes, sir, sorry.
Thank you. Okay. That's what we have with all hand mics. Hand mics, they really don't sound good. Oh, it came stock. I got it free. Well, what I did, we have a hand mic, and it's wonderful. I should have hooked it in for you tonight because it's amazing. What happens there is I put a screen in the top of it that opens up the element so that it's not tuned. When you put an element in a clamshell, you get that because it's tuned like so. There's nothing good to. They all sound like this. I go, yes, they do. It's a piece of science. When you put an element in a clamshell, take it out of that clamshell and listen what happens. I just took my hands away. That's what I did to the hand mic, and it's great. But, yeah, you look at that ICM. That's a real match for that wonderful 7300, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. This is Jim KD, 5 always jacket.
KT0DD.
Hey, Bob, let's get KT0DD in Colorado. Is that you, Todd?
Yeah, Bob, I
don't know if Bob can hear me or not. Good evening, Bob. Just wondering, what headset would you recommend for the 7300 for like DX work?
Are you talking about a headphone or microphone?
I'm talking a boom set, a headset with a boom microphone.
Okay, I was going to do that. Tell you what, hang on. Okay, I don't know if you realize this, guys, but this year, all of the major DXpeditions used the Pro 7. And I was very excited about that because they'd be using a lot of other things over the years of ours, but then they got into using other things that weren't very good. But they got into using the new one, and oh boy. Okay, let me, I'm going to unplug this, and I'll let you hear what we're talking about here. Stand by. We'll get this going. Okay, I need to have the other adapter, which I'll get in a minute. One of the things about ICOM, they have phantom power running down the line. And with that phantom power, they power up their electrics. Well, when you use a dynamic, you can't do that. So we have an element, all of our dynamic elements we use with the capacitor installed. And I picked up the wrong adapter. What you want to do is you want to look to the Pro 7 with the new HC74. The HC74 is designed for the DX world. It's our HC4. It came out in 80, right around 84, and there's been over 100,000 of them sold. The DX world loves it because it's really sharp, and I really can only tell you that's what you want. If you're serious into DX, you want a Pro 7 with the HC74, okay?
Roger. Okay, Bob, that sounds good. I've looked at the Pro 7. I do like the looks of it, so I will give it a consideration. And thank you very much. I met you at Dayton in 2003, and it was a pleasant experience. Thank you for your help. KT0DD.
All right. Thanks, Todd. Good to hear you. This is KE5GGY. K9EID is with us. Bob Heil. Any other questions for Bob? We got about 5 more minutes. All right, I got Charlie Delta. Who's the other station? All right, we'll have time for both of you guys, Jerry. But first up, Mike, KL7 Charlie Delta, KE5GGY. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Bob. Let you copy everything tonight. My question is not about microphones, it's about your relationship with Phil Walsh. And my question is, did he influence you in amateur radio, or did you influence him? I think you started first, and did you get him into ham radio? Go ahead.
No, Joe was licensed in 1962. Joe and I met up in 1968 with the James Gang, but we have become really good close friends all these years. But nope, I didn't have anything to do with him getting into amateur radio. He did that on his own when he was a young man. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for that answer. KL7 that's the peak.
Yeah, by the way, Mike, you're on an older rig tonight. Tell Bob what you're using.
Okay, I'm using Yaesu Fox Tango 901. Go ahead.
Right, yeah, that was a great old rig. That's another thing we can show you, too. Here's a very interesting thing. I am at 2.9 KC right now. That's built into this radio, the filter. But now watch listen what happens when I go to the narrow. There's the mid. This is the one I really like. This is the mid. It's 2.4. If you're going to work anything, this is the one. You can get the 1.8. Really crazy, but no, it's not pretty. No, it never will be, because you're really knocking off a whole ton of the top end. We'll go back here. There's narrow. That's 1.8. A lot of the Collins had that, but that's what they did. And there we are, back to wide. I do not like compression. I do not like that. I use no compression. It's all done with equalization. If you get it right, you're okay. So there you go. But I'm copying you fine. The old 901 still working good, huh?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm using the original Yaesu hand mic. I got this rig very recently, and I'm hoping to improve the audio with a better microphone. Go ahead.
Well, I have to blow your balloon now and pop it for you. You're not going to get much more audio out of it. Now, and here again. You hear how pretty this is. This is a very nice big broadcast microphone, right? If I take it back to 2.4, which is what you're running, that's what you get. And, okay, let's play with the EQ. I can do that, but it did not. It did not. Here, I take the bass out. It does not help the quality much because I'm limiting it in its filter. So I only tell you this because I don't want to see you waste a lot of money. That's the only thing, okay?
Yeah, roger. Well, thanks for the information. I'll work on that. Thank you there, Pete.
All right, thanks. KL7CD, KE5GGY. Let's go to KF5AWP Jerry in Paris, Texas. Go ahead there, Jerry.
Good evening, Pete. And hello. Just wanted to say good evening. And how does this mic sound to you there?
Well, you don't have a real strong signal, but it sounds like you're on 2.4 wide. What kind of transmitter is it?
I'm on a Yaesu FD 2000. And my grandson's in my lap. Sorry.
Was it a 2000?
Yes, sir.
Oh my God, you need help. Go to my website and look up the pages All Things Yaesu. I have pictures for you that you can actually see, but there's nothing there under about 400 cycles, and it doesn't have much life to it. What kind of microphone are you using?
I'm using the MG100.
Yeah, see that? You need to maybe look at the pyramid. Are you using any of the equalization, or are you into default mode?
I've got it equal. Excuse me, my grandson's being a little thing. Be quiet. Yeah, I've used some equalization in the radio. I don't know. I set it up a good while ago. Yourself?
Yeah, go look up that All Things Yaesu and look what we did. They're all the same. The one for the 950, I think, whatever. They're all the same. You go in there and play with that equalizer. You could get a lot better signal out of that. Over.
QSL, appreciate it.
No.
I used to have a windscreen on it. I don't have a windscreen on it right now.
No.
And I've got to get another one.
No.
But I will. But,
No.
Pete, Ricky's being a little Ricky tonight. I want you to know that.
Yeah. It sounds like Jerry's biggest issue, Bob, is about a 7-year-old grabbing the mic from him. Anyway, thank you, Jerry. Bob, we got time for one more question. I want to throw it at you because several people have texted me this, and I think it's a great final question, and that is update us on where you think the commission is and even the ARRL is relative to the enhanced privileges recommended by the ARRL for technicians. Where does that stand, and what are your thoughts at this point? I think last time we talked, you were a little like a lot of us, a little concerned with what would happen, from the standpoint of unintended consequences. But where does that stand right now from your perspective?
Well, I don't know. I never can get a good read out of either one of them. And now that the league is changing command again, we got a new leader there. I don't know where they're going with that. And you're talking about the technicians being able to work lower in the band?
Yeah, to actually have privileges, I think, on 80 as well as several other HF bands.
Well, I was a technician for 17 years. I was licensed in 56, but I never listened. I never worked below 50 megs, so I can't be a trophy for that one because the bands were open 24/7. Yes, 6 meters, 2 meters, great. But after I got back into it again, and the bands were not like that, why, I really want everybody to get at least a general license. It's not hard. My gosh, it's so simple. But you learn more and you get more into radio if you did that. So I don't know where the commission is on it. It'll be interesting to see what they do. But personally, I get all the Gordon West book, and you can pass that thing no problem. And I would encourage that, Pete. Go ahead.
All right. Well, listen, we're up against our next net, so we're going to say thank you, Bob Heil, for your time tonight. We'll have you back. And if anybody has questions, shoot them to me. Or, Bob, give your email real quick, and that way people can communicate directly with you.
Oh, yeah. I answer emails. Sometimes get 200 a day, but I'm always answering them. Sometimes like day or two. But a lot of times I can catch it right away. It's just really simple. You could do my call, K9EID. at ARRL.net. That'll be the best way. But look at the pages through our site. There's a lot of information there. And anything at all, don't be shy. Send me an email and give me a telephone number. I'll call you back. I mean, I love to do it that way. But whatever, we're here to help you. And I really appreciate you letting me get on tonight and Hope that we were able to bring a little bit of light to some of the situations of today, Pete. And this is a great net. You guys do great. I'm hoping to get to see you in Branson again this year. This is K9EID.
All right, thank you, Bob Heil. Hope to talk to you maybe in a few weeks when we hopefully get on for our annual SantaNet discussion on Ham Nation. And Bob Heil, thank you again. K9EID, KE5GGY. Guys, before we close it out, let's do a big 3916 thank you for Bob Heil. Let's make it good.
Thank you, Bob, from KG5RUY, the winner of your microphone this year.
Thanks for all your help, Bob. Thank you, Bob, from KG5WTQ.
Keep it coming, guys.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. KF5UTM. The information is always good.
Mike Echo, appreciate it there, Bob. You do a good job.
Thank you, Bob, from K5RBI in South Texas.
Thank you, Bob, from WB0 Yankee Charlie Kilo, Missouri.
All right, good deal. Hey, guys, that was a good way to kick off the net tonight. Bob, thank you so much. Let's take a moment right now and shoot it over to Officer Ben, who has been busy apprehending all kinds of terrible people today in Arkansas. Hopefully his hands are clean and he can do the ham code. How about a KG5RUY? Come on in here, Officer.
Oh, it has been a rough day, and of course I listened to the end of this, and I adjusted my bass down as Bob recommended. So am I still okay there, Pete?
Yeah, you sound good to me, and I think that is just a great recommendation, because I can't tell you the number of people I'll hear that I really just can't hear them because there's too much bass. But you're sounding good. How about that ham code, Ben?
I've got it ready. I've washed the blood off my hands from the days of knuckle busting, and this is the Amateur's Code by Paul Segal, W9 Echo Echo Alpha. The radio amateur is considerate, never knowingly operating in such a way as to lessen the pleasure of others. The radio amateur is loyal, offering loyalty, encouragement, and support to other amateurs, local clubs, and the American Radio Relay League, through which amateur radio in the United States is represented nationally and internationally. The radio amateur is progressive, with knowledge abreast of science, a well-built and efficient station, and operation beyond reproach. The radio amateur is friendly, with slow and patient operation when requested, friendly advice and counsel to the beginner, timely assistance, cooperation, and consideration for the interests of others. These are the hallmarks of the amateur spirit. The radio amateur is balanced. Radio is an avocation, never interfering with duty owed to family, job, school, or community. And the radio amateur is patriotic, with station and skill always ready for service to country and community. The Amateur's Code is read nightly on 3916 in memory of Jim Day, K4LTD. Jim suggested that we read the code to remind all of us of the importance of being the best of the best on 3916. Because of members like Jim and W4SCW, Ken Odom, 3916 is the frequency where all are welcome. This is KG5RUY, all the way back to Stone Mountain, Texas, KE5GGY.
All right, thank you, Officer Ben, and good evening, everybody. Hey, let's get going here with the tailgaters, and that'll give everybody a chance to get in here and talk. We got a bunch of people coming in tonight. Thanks again to Bob Heil for his work. And